always about disrupting the status quo. The whole, oh, that's just the way it is, or things are just the way they are, or I am just the way I am. None of that ever was justifiable for me. I'm all about let's push each other out the comfort zone. Let's talk about how we can improve these processes. But when you do that, you make things uncomfortable. You make people uncomfortable.
So we listened to your first podcast for Speak4MC, and
Thank
it was
you.
so sweet. It was
Subscribe at Speak4MC on YouTube. Check it out.
yes, it was so sweet that you had your mom on there. She was incredible. So, what is something important that she taught you?
Oh my goodness.
I
So
know that's
many.
kind of a big question.
Yeah, that's a long podcast. Long podcast there. I'll say my mom has always, if ever since I was little, encouraged me to go all in on my passions. Like there was never a, "Oh, I don't think you can do that." Like if I said, I want to go to the moon. My mom's like, all right, let's talk about it. Let's figure out how to make it happen. Or I remember went through this one phase where I was like, I want to go to Alaska and like study polar bears. My mom was like, all right, let's look at houses in Alaska. Like she never shot down my dream. She truly believes if you have a dream, go for it. Pursue your purpose. And she did it herself. That's why she changed careers at, I believe, mid-30s to become a teacher. And now she's been nominated for Teacher of the Year a couple times. So even when I started my company, she was so encouraging and she believed in me and she's like, you can do it. And, so she really showed me that if you had there, nothing is impossible. And I know it's cliche, but if you have a dream, you have a goal, go get it. There's nothing stopping you. Don't talk about the external things that can get in the way. Go get it. And my mom instilled that in me at a very young age.
That's awesome. Yeah, just having that person in your corner is vital when you're going after what you believe in, and
Yeah.
that's really great to hear. So, what made you choose a career working with people?
Oh man, this also might be cliche, but I don't. I think it kind of chose me. I was a knucklehead when I was younger, and what I mean by that is I kept bouncing around from job to job. I kept bouncing around from career field to career field because I was never someone who could be motivated externally. Like you couldn't say, "I'll pay you this much if you stay," or "I'll give you this reward or this incentive if you stay." It would kind of keep me there for a little bit, but eventually, if internally I wasn't connected to what I was doing, it wasn't making me happy. I didn't feel like I was making a difference. I would just leave. So it wasn't until I believe 23 years old or so, 23, 24, I stumbled upon something called the Myers-Briggs type indicator, which is essentially, a personality assessment. And it pointed me in the direction of psychology. And when I started diving into it a little bit, I just got so excited. I was like, "Oh, this is where I want to go." So once I figured that out, I needed then to figure out what population I wanted to work with. And I worked with adults, did some substance abuse, smaller kids, and then eventually I got a job at a group home. So began working with the at-risk juvenile population, and I fell in love with it. There was just something about that group helping them succeed, seeing them overcome those obstacles. I was like, okay, this is the direction I want to go. So from there, I worked as a case manager and then eventually a program manager, and then eventually a director with primarily young adults and at risk youth.
Very cool. Now, what
But
is your
and just to follow up on your question, the main thing that's always excited me is to be able to help people grow, to help people evolve, to help people change. Deep down, everything I do is rooted in change. I love change. So the ability to see someone who sees the world a very specific way, or perhaps doubts how far they can go or if they can achieve something, and then you playing a small role in them growing, I don't know if there's a better feeling than that. There's no money, there's no salary, there's no job title that can have more of an impact for me than that moment of seeing someone grow.
excellent? Yeah, there is no substitute for that kind of feeling. Like nothing can get in the way of that.
Yeah.
So, You just spent under a decade working with young adults of different backgrounds at Eckerd Connects. So, can you tell us a little bit about that experience? Like, what was challenging and rewarding? And when did you reflect on those experiences? And how did that set a foundation for Speak for MC?
Ooh, that is a loaded question. That's a good question. That was anytime I do a training on empathy or like organizational change, I always show my Eckerd Connects first name badge. And it's this happy guy that's smiling and he just is gonna change the world and change everything. And then the next slide, I show a picture of me like 6 months later who just looks miserable. and the reason I show that is because that is part of the learning process. That those were the most important lessons for me is that change is not easy. And you cannot change someone else, but you 100% can do the things that inspire change. So my entire time at Eckerd, I learned what those tools and techniques are to inspire youth, to inspire your team, to inspire other leaders, and then everything I do, and even now at Speak for MC, it was always about disrupting the status quo. The whole, oh, that's just the way it is, or things are just the way they are, or I am just the way I am. None of that ever was justifiable for me. I'm all about let's push each other out the comfort zone. Let's talk about how we can improve these processes. But when you do that, you make things uncomfortable, you make people uncomfortable, you make mistakes, you have setbacks, and all of those mistakes, all of those setbacks, all of that discomfort at times really shaped me to become who I am today. And those experiences have been just so valuable. And then the time I had as a case manager, like there's nothing like going to a family's house that is perhaps skeptical of you, of why you're there, maybe is frustrated and tired from dealing with the system, and you being able to positively change their perception and engage them in services, and then see them reap the benefit of those services. Like those moments, they're everything. Like everything. Like I remember getting a call, you know, like on a Friday, 4:45 of a young person or a parent just telling me, "Hey, I got that job." Or, "Hey, I want to let you know I passed that test." Or, "Hey, guess what? I finally went to substance abuse treatment. I did it. I just want to let you know." Like, and seeing them evolve because of the help that you provided them when initially they were like, "Get out my house." And now they're calling you to talk about how much they're succeeding. Like those moments are everything to people in our field. They were to me.